Andy Biggs went scorched earth on the Democrats.
The crime we are witnessing just a few blocks from this building is unprecedented. No section of the city can be considered safe anymore.
During a House hearing, Andy went into detail about what was driving DC's rise in crime and played a video showing the results of years of Democrats' soft-on-crime approach.
I'm going to show a short video.
And today, we're covering it all. By the way, we just launched this channel. We're going to focus solely on debates. So, if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
Now been 200 homicides so far this year in the district.
The district is in a state of emergency due to the high crime rate.
So far in 2023, 12 children have been shot and killed.
The murder rate in the District of Columbia is skyrocketing.
Crime on D.C. public transit has jumped to horrific rate.
All crime up 25%, murder up 24%, motor vehicle theft up 107%.
A violent weekend unfolding in the district.
2023 is now the third year in a row where D.C. has reached 200 homicides.
Police are investigating a series of shootings that includes a mass shooting.
16-year-old shot and killed, and then bullets went flying into 2 classrooms.
8 people shot and killed in the district in just 72 hours.
The triple shooting in Shaw. 2 women are dead and a teenage girl is in the hospital.
Some neighborhoods have seen homicides increase 280%.
The vast majority of them are just fine.
The hearing took place in 2023, but it's just as relevant today, especially since crime remained rampant in DC right up until the federal deployment this summer. And sure enough, once that happened, those numbers dropped. Some outlets, like Reuters, couldn't quite accept that effective law enforcement works, running a piece titled, "Did Trump's Crime Crackdown in Washington Work? It's complicated." But if you dig a bit further, you find out it really isn't. According to CBS, within just 3 weeks of deployment, data showed violent crime was down in Washington by almost half compared to the same 19 days in 2024, adding that violent crime was also down compared to the 5-year average for those dates. The Economist summed it up perfectly, writing, "The obvious thing is probably true. Deploying hundreds of federal agents probably cut crime." And to put into perspective how bad the situation was, I'll let Andy go through some of the statistics. So here we go.
The crime we are witnessing just a few blocks from this building is unprecedented. No section of the city can be considered safe anymore, and the man who is in charge of prosecuting the criminals has abandoned his responsibilities, and that's Matthew Graves, the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, who was appointed by President Joe Biden. He is failing to prosecute criminals. His office has consistently declined to prosecute criminals in the district. In 2021, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia opted against prosecuting 67% of arrests presented in the D.C. Superior Court. To provide context, out of the 15,315 arrests made in D.C., 10,261 did not lead to prosecution. In comparison, in 2015, USAODC only declined to prosecute 35% of cases. Mr. Graves has indicated that the type of cases he is refusing to prosecute are primarily illegal gun possession and illegal drug possession cases. Without fail, we can anticipate that my Democrat colleagues will call for more gun control, but President Biden's hand-picked prosecutor for Washington, D.C. refuses to enforce gun laws already on the books.
If you've thought these statistics were bad on their own, wait until you find out that MPD encouraged crime underreporting, according to reports based on whistleblower claims. Those allegations led to one police commander being placed on administrative leave back in May, and more recently, the DOJ released a report tying the MPD chief to the alleged misclassifications, saying they were enabled by her leadership style. The report went as far as stating that there appears to have been a significant increase in pressure to reduce crime during her tenure that some described as coercive. On top of that, the police chief has now announced she'll step down by the end of the year, citing a desire to spend more time with her family. But that raises the real question: what caused crime to spiral in the first place? Andy broke that down next, and he made some really good points.
City leadership slashed the Metropolitan Police Department budget by roughly $15 million in 2021. And Washington, D.C. City Council has passed laws that embolden criminals and hamstring the police. In November 2022, the D.C. City Council voted unanimously on a bill to overhaul the criminal code, which reduced the maximum sentence for almost all violent crimes and eliminated mandatory minimums for all crimes except first-degree murder. That proposal was vetoed by the mayor, which was later unanimously overridden. The bill was so radical that bipartisan majorities in both the House and Senate passed a resolution to prohibit it from becoming law, and President Biden signed it. In the wake of the May 2020 murder of George Floyd, the district's city council passed police reform legislation that radically changed policing in the district. Unfortunately, city leadership has not always supported law enforcement, and that shows up in recruiting and failure to retain officers who they've spent money training that have simply been let go.
Yep, a big part of the crime surge can be traced back to the Defund the Police movement. After the George Floyd incident, progressives became so emboldened that in 2020, Mayor Bowser actually wanted to increase the police budget, but the city council cut it by $15 million instead. The following year, they rejected her request for additional officers and approved less than half of the funding she asked for. And it didn't stop there. In 2022, they passed a sweeping overhaul of DC's criminal code. And if Congress hadn't stepped in, penalties for serious crimes would have been weakened almost entirely. We're already seeing the fallout of the cashless bail system. According to DC's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, roughly 2/3 of returning citizens reoffend upon their return to the community. But for the left, none of that seems to matter. Instead, the blame gets shifted elsewhere. Let's hear how AOC tried to frame it over the years.
We are seeing these headlines about percentage increases. Now, I want to say that any amount of harm is unacceptable and too much. But I also want to make sure that this hysteria, that this doesn't drive a hysteria, and that we look at these numbers in context so that we can make responsible decisions. A lot of people think that crime is up when we actually see that shootings are down, when we see that huge indicators on the most violent crime in New York City is down. Subway crime is up. So why is this uptick in crime happening? Well, let's think about it. Do we think this has to do with the fact that there's record unemployment in the United States right now? The fact that people are at a level of economic desperation that we have not seen since the Great Recession? Maybe this has to do with the fact that people aren't paying their rent and are scared to pay their rent. And so they go out and they need to feed their child and they don't have money. So you maybe they're put in a position where they feel like they either need to shoplift some bread or go hungry that night.
That's a sitting member of Congress, dancing around the issue, just not to admit the obvious. And she is not alone. The far left loves to treat this topic as reinventing the wheel. And now you've got Mamdani saying that he wants to reimagine public safety in New York City. He even put together a 26-person group that will advise him on criminal justice and related issues, packed with activists who are openly hostile towards law enforcement. It's the same ideas recycled again, which brings to mind the quote, "Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.